Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Group Chat. We are big propinquity guys over here, and we're going to get into the famous memo of the last 24 hours from Elon Musk. We have a interesting conversation around that. And then we talk Sheryl Sandberg. She has decided to step down from her very powerful position at Meta. We talk crypto. We talk our guy over at OpenSea that apparently is now being arrested for insider trading. And we talk about if you make $250,000 a year, you're probably broke.
And if you're rich enough, insider trading doesn't matter.
Yes.
If you're rich and famous, you can insider trade all you want.
So
pick your strategy.
Pick your strategy. And we end with a very inspirational shout out that I would love for everyone to stay and listen on to. All right, let's get into it. Group Chat.
Cash.
Ladies and gentlemen, Group Chat.
Cash.
It's $1 trillion. Hot.
All right, everyone, get your ass back to work.
How many times are we going to say it?
I mean, the boss said it now.
So,
Elon Musk dropped the hammer.
Mm-hmm.
I think this might be the most controversial thing he's ever said, and he's good for a controversial thing a week.
So what did he do? He wrote a letter that got shared.
He wrote a letter to his staff at Tesla.
Okay.
He said anyone who wishes to do remote work must be in the office for a minimum, parentheses, and I mean minimum, of 40 hours per week or depart Tesla. This is less than we ask of factory workers. Then he said, everyone at Tesla is required to spend a minimum of 40 hours in the office per week. Moreover, the office must be where your actual colleagues are located, not some remote pseudo office. If you don't show up, we will assume you have resigned. The more senior you are, the more visible must be your presence. That's why I lived in the factory so much.
I think
there's a lot more to it, but I'll stop there.
Yeah, I think he's saying what we've been saying for a long time. Like this fantasy of work from home forever is over. And Elon, who we've talked about the age divide, basically over 35 hates him, under 30 thinks he's God.
Yeah.
So their God told the 20-year-olds who don't want to go to work, get your ass back to work.
So I posted the memo on my Instagram story.
Yeah, what kind of feedback did you get?
I think it was the most viewed Instagram story I've ever had. Got shared like 500 times. And it was very divided. I would say it's 50% of people saying, hell yeah, Elon's a god. Second, like, oh, they're going to lose people, or people aren't going to respond to that. That sounds too aggressive. Here's an interesting stat for you. 3 million people applied to work at Tesla in 2021. 3 million. 3 million. That was they only added 28,000 jobs. It's harder to work at Tesla than go to Harvard.
So that's an interesting stat, but that was still under a work from home kind of pseudo. I don't know what their policy was in 2021, but clearly work from home was part of it.
I'm sure if you were not a factory worker, maybe they had some flexibility.
And I think this is the challenge for people and businesses that require, like, for example, if you're an owner of a department store that has, 500 stores, there's a corporate headquarters, and then there's obviously the retail stores. If the retail store people have to go in every day to service the customer, how can the corporate people be justified working from home?
Yeah, it's not fair.
It's not fair, and it creates a terrible work culture because obviously the people in the factories aren't making as much as the people in corporate, and they don't have to show up.
Yeah.
So it creates like a toxic environment.
Yeah.
And I mean, he nailed it. Like everyone in the factory shows up.
Yeah.
You guys show up, you guys make more money.
Yeah, way more money. And I think the other point that he made that I think people are glossing over, that everyone's just so up in arms that he's making people go to work. By the way, you don't have to work there.
Of course not.
You can go work wherever allows you to work from home. I don't know what that's going to be in a year, but it's probably going to be like a telephone operator, customer service,
virtual assistant.
Those will be your jobs.
Stitch Fix shopper.
Stitch Fix, yeah, shopper. You could be one of those people. you're not going to be at the top of leadership. And this is what he said. There are, of course, companies that don't require this. But when was the last time they shipped a great new product? It's been a while. Tesla has and will create and actually manufacture the most exciting and meaningful products of any company on earth. This will not happen by phoning it in.
Yeah, I think a lot of companies are going to have this challenge because unless you're crypto native or software native, I think it's really tough to justify a 5-day work from home.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think unless it's true software.
I know in the crypto industry, investors like Andreessen Horowitz and Paradigm, they're the two biggest crypto institutional funds. They don't even ask where the crypto team's located. They just assume it's distributed. That's like part of they're like, there's no point. We know they're not located.
We know
in
there's so
country.
much fraud going there anyways. What does it matter where the fuck they work?
Yeah, can you pump and dump Solana? Like, great, we'll be a part of it.
Yeah, we'd love to be a part of your pump and dump. I think the other challenge is that, like, what's interesting is young people love to talk about mental health. If you truly believe that mental health is a big part of your lifestyle and a good mental health is important, tell me how sitting at home in your sweatpants 8 hours a day is good for your mental health.
So I think there's two things. If mental health is important to you, don't also complain about not being as rich as you want to be. Because we're in a text chain with close friend, and he said, can you remind myself being an entrepreneur is the dumbest thing to ever do?
Yeah.
And he's a very successful entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Like, he's already made it.
Yeah, he doesn't need to do it.
And he's still like this. He's just venting, obviously.
It's stupid.
And you followed up with, like, it's more than the dumbest thing to ever do.
Yeah.
Because if you want to achieve, both success professionally, and with that comes financially, you sacrifice a ton.
You sacrifice everything personally.
Yeah. So if you want to achieve, and you could say it's not about money, I just want to build something great, but the money comes with it.
Yeah, of course.
And
money is the motivating factor.
Of course. And if mental health's that important to you, don't expect this to be given to you.
Don't expect the end result.
Correct.
That's fine.
Like, if mental health's the most important thing and you're okay with, living 3 in a bedroom, single in a 1 bedroom in LA, catch a vibe here and there, someone's on the couch, 2 people in a bedroom, that's fine.
Yeah.
But accept that's your
reality.
Yes.
And that's the thing, is that what this like recession, this shakeout will show is that, one, everyone complains about the cost of living, that it's, there's so many arguments about, like, it's too expensive to live anywhere, blah, 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 blah. That's not true in smaller cities. It's just not true. You can go to a smaller city, find a job, and live a comfortable life.
Mm-hmm.
I know plenty of people who've done it. And I know people in the apparel industry that I came up with that got burnt out, overworked, and they just said, fuck it, and went to another industry, moved to another small town, and they're happy. I run into them every few years at an airport or whatever, and they're like, oh, I'm in insurance now. I have 3 kids. I live in the outskirts of Philadelphia, and we are, my kids are going to college. I'm happy. Great. And that person used to live in New York City. It was part of the grind.
Yep.
It wasn't right for them. And that's also fine. No one looking down on people that aren't trying to do those things.
Yeah, it's just the bottom line is, if you want to prioritize mental health, don't expect that. Don't complain when you don't have professional success.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Mental health equals no wealth.
Unless you're Kyrie Irving. He figured it out.
He's one of the greatest athletes of his generation.
He's arguably the most skilled NBA player ever.
Yeah, that's my point. It's like he also has talent
from a skill level
and
not
a hardworking ethic that
yeah.
got him to that point. To have the conversation, I was like, I don't feel like working today.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine. The guy's made $200 million. He doesn't want to work.
More.
Okay, fine. He doesn't want to work. He doesn't have to.
Yeah.
And his life will be fine, and he can continue on.
Yeah, but if you're and starting your career and you're in the first 3 years of post-college, you're obviously going to be junior whatever you're working at, whether it's hospitality, technology, corporate, traditional corporate. If you prioritize mental health at that stage in your career, you're not going to advance.
Yeah. That's just sad reality.
Yeah, I mean, my first 2 years of investment banking, I don't think I've ever been more miserable.
And you were fat.
I wasn't fat.
You were kind of fat. I remember seeing him. I'm like, he's kind of fat.
But anyways, I sacrificed to like get in the door.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, I think at the end of the day, like every single person should do what's best for themselves. If there are people out there, there are 3 million people that are down to work in Tesla's office and work 100 hours a week. So if you don't want that job, all good. You don't want to work in investment banking, all good. You don't want to work at McKinsey, all good. The one thing that I learned is by the Harvard application rate. It was the hardest year to ever get into Harvard. That means there's more kids than ever willing to fucking eat your lunch.
Yeah, I'm curious because we have like some family members who have kids who are in that like sphere where those are the colleges they apply to, and the argument why the applications went up so high is a lot of the like SAT scores aren't required.
Yeah.
So it's like a free for all, whereas before.
But it shows you they want to be a part of that community.
Sure.
And Tesla is probably the Harvard of corporate America right now, right?
It's up there. It's top 5.
Yeah, if you're a young engineer, wouldn't you want to be at Tesla, SpaceX? Like these are the companies.
Yeah, and if
these
you're
are the next.
And honestly, you shouldn't work at Tesla if you're not willing to kill yourself. Look at what Elon did.
Yeah.
He slept on his factory floor. So like if that's not your ethos of how you want to work.
Yeah.
Because the same thing in investment banking when I was doing it, the senior people who were married with kids at the time were in the office with us.
Yeah.
At midnight on a Friday night.
Yeah. I was
it's
talking.
It's not like they were, dicking around while they made us do all the work. They were still there.
I forgot who I was talking to, who was a partner at either a private equity or a law firm, and he was a junior person. The senior people in the company who are richer than piss were always there. Their kids would be going on vacation. They're like, yeah, I just sent them. They're gone for 2 weeks. I got to work. They gave it up.
Yeah, they made that sacrifice, and that's why they're super successful. And if you ever, this is actually the most like glaring thing I've noticed in a positive way. If you know anyone over the age of 50 that's wildly successful, okay, not just like lives a good life, did well,
no, fuck you money,
like fuck you money. You send them an email, they respond instantly.
There is a billionaire that I know. I can send him, is one of the most prominent billionaires too. I could send him an email any time of the day, night, morning. I'm getting a response within 5 minutes.
Yeah, and they're not letting it go past the day.
A day?
No, I'm saying, I mean, some people are in meetings, whatever, and then it takes them, but they're getting back to you that day.
Yes.
And it doesn't matter what the question is.
Yeah.
Hey, do you know this person? No, I don't. Do you want to meet this person?
Yeah.
That'll be a response from and that, I don't know, is that going to get lost? Because we're talking about people over 50.
I mean, I could tell you, I send emails to people all the time and never get responses.
Yeah.
All day, weeks, days, months, no response.
I think that's that generation.
Yeah.
They were willing to give it all up.
Yeah. And here to just get across the point, we're not saying that's the right way to do anything. That is just.
But it's a common trait. It's a common trait that I've noticed.
The riches. You want the riches. You have to unfortunately make mega sacrifices.
So Anthony Saleh, one of our best friends, has one of the best quotes I've heard in this kind of realm. He's like, you want something done, give it to the busiest person you know.
Yeah. That's true. I give Anthony stuff all the time. He gets it done. He's no one busier than
He's in the younger age demo where he responds instantly.
Yeah.
You could send him a text at any hour of the night, he's responding to you.
For anything.
Anything. Hey, do you see the Warriors game? Hey, I need an intro to this VC.
Hey, I need someone punched in the face.
He's got a wide breadth of skills.
But yeah, I mean, I think this is, and I truly actually believe social media is the cause of this. It's because we constantly are taking in all this content of these very successful people, and that makes us feel insecure and feels like we have to be more successful. And then you go try to compete with these people, but they've chosen a different path than you.
Yeah.
And so you can happily look, I am not a money person. I actually fucking hate money and I don't care about it. But unfortunately, I live in LA and I want the best for my children. And you just need a lot of money for that. It's just, you need a shitload of money for that purpose. Other than that, like, I don't have any material interest in anything. My struggle is that, like, I want to be present. I want to be a part of my family's life. But at the same time, I want to provide them. Like, I always joke with Haley, I was like, we can also just move and kind of start over and like live a simple life. Is that what we want? Like, do we want to, is that the most important thing? Or is it giving our kids the best? Like, education wise, it's really hard to give your kids the resources if you live in, I don't know, some odd part of the country.
No, 100%.
It's and I'm not saying you can't be successful and come out of some odd part of the country, but we know what the success rate is in LA. Just go to the top high schools. Every time I'm talking to an investor, a lawyer, hey, where'd you go to school? I'm from LA. I went to Harvard Westlake. Oh, where'd you go to college? I went here.
And you know the structural advantage of living in a city like LA that you have as a parent raising children is, you know, this was a close friend of mine was explaining to me. He's lives in San Francisco, not absent of resources, right? Has any resource he wants. But he said the number of service providers in San Francisco, which is 700,000 people to a million, it's somewhere in that range, which is nothing, right? And LA has 12 million people. He's like, you can't even find a piano instructor in San Francisco for your kids.
Yeah.
And their budget's unlimited.
Yeah.
And he comes down to LA for a little bit and he's like, there's like 100 piano instructors.
Yeah.
There's 100, tennis instructors. And that, I never realized how spoiled we are because we don't even think about that.
Yeah.
Like, you want your kids swimming lessons? There's literally 1,000
600
people. You can ask.
I mean, there's 5 million swimming pools and there's 6,000 instructors.
Right. But in other cities, you don't get those service providers.
Yeah.
And I never thought about that. And I was like, then that's coming for someone with resources.
Yeah.
Imagine if you have no resources, even being in LA matters because you can go to the YMCA.
And you're learning piano on YouTube.
Yeah, and you can go to a Boys and Girls Club. You can go to, all these different facilities that even if you don't have money, you can figure out a way to get your kid those
exposed. Yeah. I mean, I have no problem with what Elon Musk is doing. You don't have to work there. You have other options. You can choose the path that's best for you. But if you want to work at the best company, one of the best companies on earth, this is what it is.
Yeah.
You don't have to work there. That's the thing that drive me at. This is Elon Musk is not telling the world they have to go.
He's telling his employees.
He's telling his employees, his company that he built.
And this is the trend that's going to happen. And I think in the middle of peak kind of COVID cancel culture, Brian Armstrong at Coinbase was the first kind of prominent CEO that's super like pseudo famous, where he just said like politics isn't what we're here at Coinbase for. It's to build an economy for everyone and like distributed finance. And he got a lot of shit. And then he hired as many people as he needed to, and it didn't matter. Yeah. And then now that we've kind of fully kind of come out of COVID and now we're in a recession, you're going to see this way more often.
And I've been screaming this for so long. Like and we've been talking about it for how long? 2 years about the rule of propinquity.
Yep.
And I have a story to share at the end of the podcast of a listener that took full advantage of the rule of propinquity and has an amazing story to share. But I think the thing that people always mistake is that, one, there's always someone else willing to take your job. And people got spoiled. Employees had an enormous amount of leverage the last 2 years. And employers cater to it. When things get tight, it swings back. right? So now employers have all the leverage. So if you're an employee, play your cards right. Play within the rules of the game that they're providing you, and you could still be successful. You can still grow within that company, but don't take advantage. Don't demand things that are out of the norm, because you are replaceable. And then you're shit out of luck for no reason.
In the last 3 years post-COVID, how many young people have come in through this office, thinking that they wanted to be the boss and get super rich, and they flamed out.
Yeah, it's hard. It's really, really hard. And I'm transparent about it. This shit's fucking impossible. Yeah. It is so hard to make businesses work. It's so hard to be successful. And the amount of effort, the time, the sacrifices, the roller coasters, the emotions, it's so hard. So it's like, that's why, when I see someone like Elon become the richest man in the world, it's like, okay, there's at least a fucking pot of gold at the end of all this that you can all be aspire to.
And I think people also, because I get asked the most because I've invested a bunch, but how many companies have I invested in? It's in the hundreds.
Yeah.
Right? How many pitches have I sat through?
Thousands. Yeah.
Yeah. And most of them don't work.
Yeah. 2 worked really well.
2 worked really well.
Yeah.
But my point is that shit's not fun.
Yeah.
Listening to the next shitty, I'm going to change the world. And then you're 30 minutes into the pitch, you're like, this guy has no idea what he's talking about.
Yeah.
But I mean, it takes a stamina that regardless of whatever you want to do, the stamina it requires to be good at whatever you want to do is so enormous.
Be great. Good is different. Great requires physical stamina, mental stamina, emotional stamina,
and financial sacrifice.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't move for 14 years.
Yeah.
Because I was
all of it.
Yeah.
There's so much stamina that's required that you have to do all of those things. And then there's a chance. It's not guaranteed.
No, you could still lose.
No. So, best of luck to you all.
But the people who outwork regardless will always live a great life and provide for their family. If you're just willing to outwork the person next to you, I'm not saying you're going to be worth 100 million.
So I saw a great tweet from somebody that said, the only time companies don't work is when the founder gives up.
Okay. Yeah.
Because if you want it that fucking bad, you figure out a way.
Yeah. No.
I mean, we've been at that death walk so many times. We know, you could have given up, but you have to be willing to do anything and everything to keep that party going. And I think that is a big part of what makes a founder special. What are you willing to do? What sacrifices are you willing to make?
And you still might not make it.
Yeah.
It's not even because you gave up. It was just because structurally things changed. Right?
Yeah.
If you were a hot D2C company 2 years ago, Apple just cratered you.
Yeah.
And you might not be able to recover.
Yeah. Crazy times. One of the other things I've also realized that I think a big part of the work from home thing that will change is a lot of these folks did have 2 jobs.
Yeah.
Or they had a side hustle that precludes them. That will end, right?
I think it's ending.
But that I think has pissed off a lot of people too, because you can moonlight and do something else and pick up some extra income. Now you can't.
Yeah, now you have to show up.
Yeah. I mean, look, I know people don't want to go back to work, man. If I were you, I get your ass back in the office.
And we were giving you this advice 6 to 8 months ago.
Yeah.
When the writing was on the wall.
Yeah. Everyone always says, you guys are doom and gloom. We should have been in a recession after 19. We just got bailed out.
And you're talking about in 2020, you mean?
I'm talking 2019. It was already slowing down.
Yeah, you're right. And then I think the Fed basically
just delayed the inevitable. That's all.
They also fooled the country. They fooled the youth that everything's up and to the right. And we were joking we can't. Like, oh, everything just goes up, and we're saying it facetiously for
Yeah.
2 years.
Yeah.
When we knew it didn't make sense. We just didn't know when it was coming
Yeah.
and how bad it was going to be.
Yeah.
And it happened, and it happened worse than any of us thought
And quicker.
and quicker than anyone thought.
Yeah. And now, dude, it's really sad because every day when I go on LinkedIn now, it's third of layoffs, third of the staff laid off, quarter of the staff laid off. And these are at like very well-funded companies that have a hope, and they're getting ahead of the situation. But there's going to be a lot of folks that just have to do it out of necessity, right? Like there is a fallout across the stack of all industries that like, it's just going to affect a lot of people.
So I had a long drive this morning, and I was listening to a podcast talking about wealth inequality. And basically, if you look at the last couple decades, median incomes across the country marginally has gone up. Housing is like, 3-4x. S&P 500 is whatever, 7-8x. I don't know what the number is. It's a lot, right? It's multiples versus like a couple percent on the median income. And the two biggest drivers of that is if you didn't own a home or you didn't participate in the S&P 500, it was virtually impossible to keep pace.
Okay.
And just looking back at the last 2 years, 3 years, Robinhood was that like, hey, anyone can do this really easily. Because granted, a Schwab account is intimidating. Even if you want to put $1,000 in,
It's a lot harder.
it's a lot harder. If you feel like you're gonna lose,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
When you click the trade button, and Robinhood made it so easy to be transparent. This is what you're buying, and do you think it's going up or down? And then because we inflated value so much, and because options were so easy to trade, this entire like portion of the income segment that this was their shot to anyone can participate in the S&P 500, and they lost all their money.
Yeah. It's really interesting.
And I'm like, we had our shot, and it's a combination of Robinhood made it too easy,
It's greed.
and then
It's greed. Everyone that saw people were making money, but everyone was screenshotting. How many Robinhoods have you seen screenshotted recently? Fucking zero.
yeah,
And that was like the thing. Oh, I screenshot your Robinhood.
people, YouTube videos, TikTok videos,
Yeah,
everyone.
and like,
And I mean, I gotta
look
blame.
at this.
And Portnoy's part of the blame that stocks only go up. I mean, Pete was only trading because Portnoy motivated him.
Yeah, and he's moved back to sports. So if you're a longtime listener, when the GameStop AMC thing happened, we had a reporter from the Wall Street Journal on the podcast, and her name was Gunjan Banerjee, and she on Twitter, she's a great follow. You should check her out. She posted that call option trading among retail investors has fallen to lowest level since December 19.
Which no one was trading options in December 19.
Nobody.
On Robinhood.
That means it's fucking retail is gone.
And it sucks because it made it seem like this casino where you can 50x in 3 days. And I know like freaking super successful young engineers at big tech that were doing this.
I haven't even opened my Robinhood in a month.
Because you're just not looking at the stock market? It's healthier.
Yeah, because I know it's down, so I don't even look at
No,
it.
we've been up the last week.
What?
Stock market's had a good 10 days.
Okay, well, I'm sure my options are not.
No, so my point is that's what's shitty about it because, yeah, you can't make money in options.
Yeah.
Unless you're insider trading or
Yeah.
you're an expert.
Yeah.
But you can make money if you just long-term hold.
Yeah.
And now
But that's not fun.
They washed out this entire community of 20 million new users came on in the last 2 years on
Yeah.
Robinhood. They all lost their money. Now they're not even going to participate. So we can't even close that wealth gap because it's impossible to buy a home
Yeah.
unless you just made a lot of money.
Yeah. Like this is such a great time if you're a young person to be buying the S&P 500.
Amazon was down 40% in the last 10 days. How much do you think it was up?
I think 25%. Right?
Yes, 20%.
That's nuts. Even Tesla was down and it's fucking roared back.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's such an incredible time if you have cash to be buying.
No, I agree. But my larger point was Robinhood was the pseudo solution and then actually the pseudo fault.
So
when these kids aren't going to participate anymore.
So to that point, when you talk about Robinhood, I think the biggest challenge I see is that I still think it's it's like the best digital product from a technology standpoint. The problem is people were using it for options and crypto. So how do you get the Robinhood person to just go back
it's too boring.
Put $100 a week into SPY.
I mean, Pete's a perfect example. He's a Robinhood
enthusiast
2 years ago, and he's out.
Yeah, is he out?
I mean, I don't know for sure, but he'd already sold all his equities, Datadog, everything, and then Doge he's holding. That's also the problem with Elon, right? Like, he made all these kids. Pete bought Doge. Pete got on Robinhood because of Portnoy and bought Doge because of Elon.
Yeah.
He got fucked.
Yeah, that's rough. All right, we're going to take a quick break and talk about something every crypto, every NFT owner must have. It's a ledger. It is truly the one place for all your crypto needs. Did you know on your ledger through Ledger Live, you can now trade and buy Bitcoin and all these other cryptocurrencies in seconds? And more importantly, safely hold all of your investments and let the value increase or stake it even on Ledger for rewarding you for holding certain cryptocurrencies. Given all the danger in the world around hacks and privacy, Ledger seems like the most likely place for you to store your most valuable assets in the Web3 universe. And guess what? The Nano S Plus is the most powerful and trusted hardware wallet. And if you want some of their sexy collabs, they just dropped a cool one with our friends over at the Hundreds. They also did a special one with Gary V for VCon. And they're constantly dropping new ones. All you have to do is head over to ledger.com, purchase a Ledger wallet, and then download Ledger Live, and all of your currencies are safe. Your NFTs are safe. This is the way of the future. You need a traditional vault for your futuristic holdings. So go check out Ledger. Back to the episode. All right, let's move on. I think this is a huge news. And honestly, long time coming, in my opinion. Sheryl Sandberg is stepping down from Meta / Facebook after 14 years.
Yep.
A lot of people hold her responsible for helping them scale to the size they did. She was the COO, I believe, of Meta. But she's been awfully quiet the last couple of years, considering the heat. Like after Cambridge Analytica, it felt like Mark kind of was the more front-facing figure, and Sheryl Sandberg was like not engaged publicly. I'm sure behind the scenes she was,
right?
But publicly, like if I was Mark Zuckerberg, I'd rather put Sheryl Sandberg out there as the face of the company than him.
Maybe she didn't want to do it. So there's also like, maybe she was trying to resign years ago,
but it was a bad look.
It was a bad look because the company was under so much fire. Because Sheryl Sandberg's 52. She's a billionaire.
Man, she's only 52.
Yeah.
So she started there in her 30s.
You said 14 years ago?
Yeah.
38. And then she was at like Google Google, right?
Yeah.
Like she'd already been super successful up until then. And this was like kind of like, hey, might as well try something new because she'd already made so much money. And
then she became a billionaire. Yeah.
She became a billionaire. So it could be just like you're a billionaire, you're in your 50s. It's a thankless job.
Yeah.
This is Zuck's baby, so he can't quit.
No.
But you were the hired gun to like develop all, so much of Facebook's like ad revenue and making it super profitable. And I don't know, is it just not anything more than like, I know people want to do the conspiracy take, but like, you're a billionaire. No one's going to give you credit for anything Facebook here on out, right? Like what could Facebook do? Facebook would have to actually make the metaverse a real thing, which would take a decade.
Yeah.
For you to get any like kind of, I don't know, not hate, because all you're going to get is hate up until then.
Yeah. I think the thing that I think what rubs some people the wrong way was she kind of also came out and said she thought that, like, she announced that I'm going to say exactly what she's going to spend her time. She wants to spend her time, more time with her family. That's fine.
And she's just got engaged the last couple of years.
Yeah, and focusing on philanthropic endeavors like Lean In. And I think it's real. So I saw a post that someone listens to the podcast shared and said, you can't be talking about leaning in when you're retiring.
I don't buy that.
She's at one of the most powerful positions on earth.
The criticism, if you want to go that route, is where were you when the heat was coming?
Yeah.
And it could be Zuck's like, I'm taking it. You've done too much. Who knows? We don't know what the background was.
Yeah.
It's his company at the end of the day.
Yeah.
He has all the voting rights. I don't think...
You think our hands were tied?
Yeah, I think our hands were tied. That's what I know. It's easy to be critical over and be like, where were you this whole time? But what if Zuck said, I'm the one? You're going to leave eventually. You already want to leave. Maybe he already knew you want to leave.
Yeah.
Why? If
just hold on till things stabilize. And
if you're the face of it and then you leave, it's even worse.
Yeah.
Because if she was the one doing all the interviews and, front facing,
then the stock would have cratered. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think he was probably trying to balance it.
I think I would say another part, she came in when they were this advertising platform juggernaut, like help it become an advertising platform juggernaut. Now they're focusing on the metaverse and she's like, fuck this.
Yeah. I mean, her kids probably know more about the metaverse than she
Exactly.
does.
And so she's probably like, do I really want to, like, do I want to be, it's like starting from scratch, essentially. Like,
and Zuck's still only 36?
Jeez, he's only 36 years old.
He's younger than me. I'm 38.
It's insane.
He might be 35.
What a beast. I love Mark Zuckerberg. He's the biggest beast of all time.
Let's see. How old is Mark Zuckerberg?
You got to be a robot. I love it. He's such a beast, Mark Zuckerberg.
Yeah, he's 38. He's 84 born, so
okay.
He just turned 38.
Whatever. He's still a young man.
I mean, Travis didn't even get seed funding for Uber until 38.
Yeah. I mean, when did Bezos start? He was like in his 30s, right?
Yeah, in his 30s. Billy was the young one.
Yeah, Billy was like retired by like 35. Awesome. It's awesome. Still, like, really interesting to see who he replaces her with too. Because I think that also will make a clear indication of where the company's heading.
I mean, it has to be someone who has some like chops in the virtual meta crypto world.
I think it has to be someone from gaming. I know someone who needs a job. My guy Nate Chastain from OpenSea.
Oof, he needs lawyers.
So we talked about this story. Nate Chastain what is he, a product manager at OpenSea? What was his title?
I forget the title, but he was in charge of what goes on the front page.
What goes on the front page. And he was front trading the NFTs that were going on the homepage. He's now been charged with insider trading and wire fraud.
Yep.
Which each, I think, face like 20 years.
That's crazy.
And I think they're going to give it to him. I don't think they're going to they have to make an example. They have to scare the entire community. And I think what's going to happen is, and this is what the common thread is, everyone's like, if this guy's going to jail, do you know how many more people that need to go to jail?
Yeah. I mean, this is fascinating because this was going on left, right, and center in crypto in 2018 in the ICO boom when Coinbase listed a protocol. The thing ran up. Are they going to go back and investigate Coinbase employees and their wallets? Or are they moving forward?
Meaning what?
No, I mean, it's no secret. Back then, there was no regulation. That was only 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Are you going to investigate all Coinbase employees?
No, there's too many. It's too far gone. It has to be within the last year.
But I'm curious why they decided
this was too public. It was such a spit in the face that like,
I mean, the entire crypto industry, even though I'm the biggest bull, is this.
yeah,
Solana was a tier 1 venture crypto scam.
yeah. Hot one.
They all got out.
Yeah. No one's holding that thing.
No one was holding. I mean, even the dudes on All in Pod were talking about how they were selling $1 billion. Like, can I sell $1 billion? Do you want to buy my $1 billion?
Yeah.
Everyone was selling.
And they were doing it publicly. They're telling you they're dumping
And
it.
then the network stopped working yesterday.
Yesterday, halted.
Yeah, exactly.
So-
the people that, first of all, the people that think there's an Ethereum killer, it's not here yet.
No.
It may come in a decade.
Yeah.
It's not now.
What? How come they're not going after the Luna guy?
Well, he's in Korea. I know Korean legislators had him or they requested for him to speak in front of them. I don't know what came of it or what.
Yeah, but they're not arresting him? I'm
not
sure there's a
arrested.
lot of Korean people that lost money.
Yeah.
I mean, when you wipe out 50, 60 billion, it's global.
Yes, it's global. I mean,
And I
but
feel
this
like in
is-
Korea, they don't fuck around with this type of stuff.
and this is what the Southern District of New York, which is
My guy in Billions.
Yeah, your guy in Billions.
What's his name again?
Paul
I don't
Giamatti.
know. What's his name in the show?
Chuck Rhodes.
Chucky Rhodes.
He's coming after NFT OpenSea. And
I don't...
what's crazy, how much do you think this kid made?
Nothing.
Nothing. But this is the problem with financial crimes. The real whales that get away make billions. And this kid's going to get jail time for making maybe $1 million.
Yeah. Probably not.
Probably not even.
$1 million, but I doubt he made that much kind of money. I have no idea, actually. I'm not going to speak on it, but there's no way, in my opinion, he made $1 million.
Yeah.
Well, I think a page from Coinbase's book would be, from OpenSea's perspective, is to clean up fast.
Well, Coinbase, I think, learned their lesson years ago.
Yeah.
I think regulators were like, hey, if this is going on, we're coming after you.
Yeah. And so, I mean, I think all of these platforms and projects need to be, we posted on TikTok about Luna, you don't want regulation. Because and everyone's like, you don't know, we want regulation. Then it's not decentralized.
Yeah.
It cannot be fully regulated and be decentralized. It just can't.
While we're on insider trading, let's just go to Jamie Dimon.
Yeah. I love, he was pumping last week, dumping this week.
This is what's insane to me. The Southern District of New York should be going after Jamie Dimon. He goes in an interview, and when someone as prominent as Jamie Dimon says something this severe, which is what he said, a hurricane's coming. I don't know if it's Hurricane Sandy or if it's this hurricane, but brace yourselves. There's an agenda.
Yeah. He then came out and said that
and tanked the market yesterday.
Yeah, and he felt that oil, that the Ukraine war is having impact on commodities, including food and fuel, and oil could hit $150 to $175 a barrel. You better brace yourself. Yeah.
Jamie Dimon's wrong on most things in the last 5 years, 7 years. He was wrong on crypto. And this is the pump fake, right? Jamie Dimon has been saying Bitcoin's a fraud for years. JP Morgan, where he is a CEO, is the most progressive of all the Wall Street banks in getting into crypto.
Yeah.
So don't look at what they say, look at what they do.
Yeah.
And if you're the CEO, you're greenlighting all these crypto projects within your firm.
Yeah.
While you're publicly telling everyone it's a fraud.
Few weeks ago, Jamie Dimon was saying he thought there was very minimal risk for a recession. A few weeks ago. Publicly saying that.
He's trying to buy the dip.
Yeah.
And then now the hurricane's here. We got a little rally. I told you, last 10 days have been good.
Yeah.
Hit to sell.
Yeah.
Time to rebuy.
Yeah.
And this poor chap from NFT OpenSea is going to get 30 years.
Yeah. And these guys are just doing it out in the open.
Yeah.
Speaking of bad performance, Tiger Global, I guess, is their publicly traded fund.
Yeah. So they have two funds. They have a public fund and private investing.
Drops 14% in May alone. And their hedge fund is now down over 50%.
In 2022 alone.
In 2022. I mean...
Or I guess the entire fund is down 50.
It seems like a big drop.
Yeah. And it's, I've kind of outlined this. It's virtually impossible for that fund with their holdings to get in the money where they can take profits. So if you hit your earmarks, the fund managers have already made billions. So what do? What's their incentive to keep running the fund? Just pride?
Yeah, I mean, reputational.
Because they get redemptions.
Yeah, they're also, Tiger Global team is pretty young. They're not like old dogs.
No, they're young. The two main dudes are in their 40s. Chase Coleman, Scott Schleifer.
Yeah, so like, I think here's what I've learned. The heritage Wall Street people rarely fucking lose.
Well, they've already won.
They already won.
This fund lost. But they will personally are fine.
I know, but I would love to see a year from now where these guys are at. And
honestly, what should happen is the exact same investor base. So just be like, give us all our money back, and can we give you it back for a new fund?
New fund and pile into
you're
that.
incentivized now.
Yeah.
And you can just pick the litter.
Yeah.
At growth stocks that you believe.
Yeah.
Because this is the new like famous phrase. It's a stock picker environment. You hear it on Bloomberg and CNBC all day long.
Yeah. That just means a few stocks will go up and the rest won't.
No, that means the fund managers like Tiger Global know which stocks to pick at this point.
Yeah. We'll see. Everyone loves Carvana. That's all I read about every day. Carvana. I saw Dan Quayle picking up some Carvana. It's one of those companies that I constantly see everyone talking about.
You have a lot of smart people that are so bullish on Carvana.
That's good for Ollie from Car Trekkers.
Yeah. A lot of people are super bullish on that company, and they have debt. And then you talk to traditional finance people, they're like, oh, they're going to be bankrupt. It's like a Tesla. They just need an Elon.
Yeah.
If Elon was the face of Carvana, I'd put my whole life savings on it.
Okay. So here's a really interesting topic. Well, from Walter Bloomberg, I saw this on Twitter. It said 1/3 of people making $250,000 or more are living paycheck to paycheck. This is also data from Lending Club. And so these high income earners have an average FICO score of 758, but they are creditworthy, but have higher financial obligations, are more likely to leverage their capital to finance their life. 61% of Americans in total were living paycheck to paycheck, and 1/3 of people making $250 or more. Basically, the more money you make, your lifestyle just goes up, and your situation doesn't really change.
Yeah. I mean, you start keeping up with the Joneses. I think LA's a perfect city.
Yeah, you got to go to private school. You got to get this.
LA's a perfect city where like
Tesla.
The average millionaire is probably broke.
Yeah, you got to get a
They're
Tesla.
like one like life event from being completely broke.
Yeah.
That's, costs a lot of money.
Easily. And I think it's probably more predominant with higher income people because of all their monthly financial obligations compared to a lower income person who may just have rent they can just walk away from. They don't have a home, or they don't have private school. You can't walk away from what happens to your kid?
I mean, just if you go to, think about how many luxury hotels there are in Southern California between Santa Barbara and then Orange County. Like, they all can't have savings.
No.
Right?
It's impossible.
Impossible.
It's impossible. Not everyone makes $1 million.
And $1 million, even if they make $1 million,
spend
after taxes. No, after taxes, you're at like $450.
Yeah.
Ish with deductions. If you're just making it,
which unfortunately is not a lot of money if you live in LA and have some sort of a lifestyle.
Kids,
you have 2 kids, private school, a vacation or 2,
and a mortgage.
You're broke.
Yes. We should I wish we could like go to the Rosewood and look at everyone's savings account.
Yeah, it's low.
I think it's low.
It is. I mean, it's just not possible. It's just, you have to make so much money to live that life comfortably.
Yeah.
Like, you have to be...
Current income doesn't do it. You just need one outsized event.
Yeah, like if you came into $10 million of money because of an exit, and then you still make $400,000 a year in salary, you could go live a decent life.
Mm-hmm.
It's wild. I know people are listening to it and saying, oh, that's bubble talk. But it's real. This is fucking real.
Yeah, if you make $1 million and you want to live in
LA or New York?
San Antonio, you can live like a king.
Yeah.
Right?
That would be the move. Like you can't, it's we know someone listening to this podcast. He was saying he makes $1 million a year and he's fucking broke. That's the reality. Because if
He
you
lives in
send
New
kids to
York.
school, you give them the activities. You want to go on a family vacation. You got 2 cars, a mortgage, insurance,
A nanny.
a nanny.
That's with dual income.
That is $1 million a year.
Mm-hmm.
That is how much you need to do that. And that probably not saving a fucking dollar.
No.
Yep. Cost of living. Inflation. God forbid you want to fill up your car with gas.
It's all high.
All right. Let's move on to winners, losers content. All right, Anand, who is your winner of the week?
Amidst the NBA finals, there's a lot of shade that's being thrown at the king. The king didn't make the playoffs this year. LeBron's Lakers had a kind of subpar year by any standard. But guess what? He's now officially a billionaire according to Forbes.
Wow. That's unbelievable.
And there's a quote from him in 2014, how that would be like one of the biggest goals he has left, because he's already won titles at that point, is to be a billionaire. And 8 years later, he did it.
That's nuts because, he's also a relatively young guy.
Yeah, he's 37, 38.
37, 38. I guess compared to Zuckerberg, he's kind of a...
He needs a few more Bs.
He's like 50.
So think about that. LeBron and Zuck are the same age.
What a good... Are they both 84?
They're both 84. LeBron's December 84. Zuck's May 84.
84 is a hot year.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous that LeBron and Mark Zuckerberg were like...
I think LeBron's going to be worth $10 billion at the minimum when it's all said and done.
I'll tell you, my
over-under is 10.
I'll tell you why. I think once he leaves the game, and you see this with athletes in general, you're just not front-facing as much anymore unless you take a TV job that makes you front-facing.
So think about the head start he has on Magic Johnson when Magic left. Like Magic was making $1 million, $2 million a year at the Lakers. So, and what do you think Magic's worth? Somewhere between 500 and $1 billion.
Sure. I'll tell you a Magic and a Shaq. And
Shaq's another one worth over 500
Shaq
million.
is out in the streets though.
He does every advertisement.
And he's still DJing parties. He's a likable, very accessible human being.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody sees LeBron. I've never fucking seen him out.
Yeah, you have.
Maybe from across the room. Not like I saw Shaq. I used to see Shaq at Jerry's Deli every weekend in Beverly. He was just there at midnight hanging out. Mighty Joe.
Yeah, that's also a sign of the times. People are way crazier now. Like, it's probably not safe for LeBron to be just sitting in a public restaurant.
Yeah, I don't know. But Shaq was out. I'm sure Magic was out.
And Shaq's still out.
Shaq's still out.
He goes to like Walmart and buys people computers.
I've seen Shaq so many times out and about. And all over the country, too. He's just
Shaq
out.
was standing in front of us at the H-Wood party in Arizona.
Yeah,
Super Bowl.
He's just out here.
But look, all right, so he's going to eventually become an NBA owner. The rumor is the Vegas team. That's going to get expanded to in 2-3 years whenever he retires. So that's going to be like a big piece.
Mm-hmm.
He owns some of Liverpool. I think it's single-digit percentage, but whatever. He's already made like $100+ million on that. I don't know, his trajectory, being 38 and given, he's also a guy that went and made all those like big shot relationships during his career, similar to like a Chris Paul.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I think the sky's the limit for those guys. I think Chris Paul is another one. He'll be a billionaire.
Yeah, those guys are really good at like maintaining relationships and building relationships and finding opportunities where they can really thrive.
Yeah, and they're smart.
And they're smart, yeah. I mean, we've spent a lot of time with Chris Paul. That guy's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
He's probably the smartest athlete I've ever been around. And I've been around a lot. And he's just, even just What do you mean 10 years ago? Probably at this point, he was in his 20s. And
Yeah, there's stories about when he came to the Clippers. He was like, one of his goals was like, I need to meet the most important people in the city.
And he called me right away.
And then he called Bob Iger, CEO of Disney.
I was on his list too.
And then Bob Iger has been on like multiple interviews. He's like, a lot of people call to like, hey, I want you to be my mentor, but like, who's going to put in the work and actually follow through? And he like talks about Chris Paul in like this crazy light. Like he actually wants it.
Yeah. I mean, I believe it. And I think you see...
and it just shows you how much we're robbed of Kobe, like what he would have done.
Yeah.
I mean, he'd already won an Oscar. Body armor sold for over $1 billion. And what was he, 41?
Yeah. Yeah.
3 years removed?
Yeah, and he was on his way on that trajectory of that part of his life as well. Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, I think...
And it's unique to the NBA because you don't see that in the NFL, and that's the biggest sport. Brady will do it.
Brady's going to do it.
Brady will do it.
Brady will do it. I mean, Cristiano Ronaldo will do it.
I'm talking the U.S.
Yeah.
No one in baseball. A-Rod will.
Maybe Jeter. Isn't Jeter? I saw him on Twitter now.
Yeah, he is interesting because he was part of that ownership group with the
Marlins.
Yeah, and I think he already sold it.
Yeah,
it was like a disaster. Like I think he made his money, but whatever.
All right. My winner is I'm going with Tesla.
Okay.
So a lot of car companies released their May sales yesterday. Tesla has not, and they're horrific. Some of them are down like 50%, 30%, 20%. These companies were also already down Q1 and they were blaming chip shortages. Some people were blaming other supply chain issues, but it's clear that like the chip shortage has affected the car industry dramatically.
Yep.
I would also argue, I'm sure new car sales have also slowed a little, due to kind of economic environment. I'm going to guess that Tesla's sales were maybe not even down. And if they were down the least of the group. And Q1, they were dramatically up, while all the cars in their segment, which is considered luxury, were all double-digit down in Q1. So as much as like people want to talk about this guy and his company and he's distracted and he's Twitter, the company is fucking cranking. It is cranking. It's in high demand and they're able to actually do it. That's the difference is like everyone else is complaining about chip shortages. They changed their supply chain.
Yep.
They made those investments.
Well, isn't that what he was saying in that interview that he makes everything?
Yeah.
He's not relying on all this other stuff. So he can turn levers that
other folks can't.
Yeah.
And I just think that like that is a real, I mean, that's why they're like the Apple of cars, because they're thinking about things a lot differently. It really feels like in a world, and I think, and I always believe this, electric cars will become very popular across all brands. And I think, Ford is having enormous amount of success with, kind of the demand for the Mustang, the electric car for the Mustang. But like a part of what Tesla's experience is also, beside brand and product, is also like the process of selling. Like these other car companies are still relying on dealerships, which is a fucking broken model.
Yeah, totally broken.
It's a terrible model it's not a good experience for the consumer. They don't
and
enjoy
the dealerships aren't owned by the companies, the car makers. So you're getting a different experience from different dealers. So there's not a unified Mercedes experience.
So I think for Ford and these folks to truly like be in a real competitive landscape, they got to change the way they actually sell the cars too. Because I do believe the dealership model competing with Tesla is going to be too hard.
Yeah.
All right. Who's your loser?
I don't have a loser this week. I'm going to stay on the positivity.
Oh, wow.
After Top Gun, I wanted to stay positive. Left it all on the field on Tuesday's pod and positivity. So my other winner of the week is, did you catch the golf match yesterday? Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers?
I wanted to actually watch that.
Versus Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen.
What's going on with that? Why is it on like a Thursday or Wednesday?
I thought it was phenomenal. So they had all of them mic'd up. Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers and Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen. And, these are, you have the greatest quarterback of all time, arguably the most talented quarterback of all time, and then potentially another new most talented quarterback in Mahomes. Josh Allen's obviously incredible, but how competitive they are. So they had them mic'd up. And when it gets serious, like, it's for charity. It's low stakes, just pride. And even at the start of the match, Brady goes up to Rodgers. He's like, let's fucking go. And he just like, and it wasn't for the cameras.
Yeah.
And like, he just like pounds him up.
He just can't help himself. They just want to win. They're winners.
It's crazy.
These guys are just winners.
And they were talking shit to each other. Charles Barkley's in their ear. Ernie Johnson. That TNT crew just wins.
Yeah. You know what? I'm going to add another winner to that pile. I'm going to go Johnny Depp.
Yeah, he won.
Johnny Depp won his defamation lawsuit against Amber Heard, which honestly I thought he had zero chance. And
I'll be honest, I tried to avoid it.
Yeah,
I didn't want to get in the details.
I read all the highlights that, the fun stuff that everyone was talking about. It is such a polarizing decision. Like, our friend told us, he goes, it's the white man's OJ. And I was like, oh my God, that's such an interesting take on it.
Yeah.
And, I saw a lot of people say that Amber Heard losing this case is going to affect other women in the future on how they view when they are verbally or physically abused. And I would argue that I think she did do a disservice to women because she lied. And she hurt people who actually are physically and verbally abused, which is unfortunate. She really blew it. And I think she has to face the consequences of it. Obviously, these punitive damages are all going to get appealed. One of the damages, the max payment is $350,000 in Virginia. So that doesn't matter.
Even Johnny Depp said it wasn't for money. It was for clearing his name.
Yeah. And we as a society, I think this, why this case is so landmark? I think it's a turning point for cancel culture because this went all the way, right? This was pop culture phenomenon case.
Yeah.
And Johnny Depp won. He was this used to be this beloved character and actor and kind of got thrown into this almost hey, we don't fuck with Johnny Depp. I mean, Disney basically sidelined him.
Mm-hmm.
And curious to see, does he have a comeback in his career? We talked about Tom Cruise.
Yeah, but I mean, Tom Cruise just jumped on a couch. This is much different.
I know, but just go fast forward.
But Tom Cruise had all the Mission Impossibles while people thought he was crazy.
Yeah, but he wasn't hot.
He was not as hot as he is now.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Johnny Depp comes back and drops some Edward Scissorhands 2.
I think he's extremely hireable, and he will get a big movie
I
role.
think he's going to get his big movie now because people want his.
The thing about you're in this streaming war, studio war. He won, so now you're absolved of
any legal issues.
Forget legal, cancel culture issues.
Yeah,
what do you say? He went to court and won.
Yeah,
so you can hire him, and Johnny Depp, from the kind of zeitgeist, everyone was rooting for him.
Yes.
From what I observed on Twitter,
were.
Sure, social media seemed like they wanted, and I'm being very clear. I did not pay attention to one detail of the case.
Yeah,
but I did kind of glance on Twitter and
Johnny Depp's hot.
Yeah, exactly. So my point is, he's gonna get a big ass movie.
Yeah, this is why I think Will Smith will turn around too.
He's got a tough one. Did you see? There's a clip of Jada. The thing's a different situation.
Like what?
I don't know. I think they're wrapped up in a whole different world.
They're doing some crazy shit.
It seems like it.
Okay. All right. Content recommendation.
NBA Finals starts tonight. We're going to watch it.
Oh yeah, I'm excited.
With our friends Brian and Mikey, and
who's gonna win?
I think the Celtics win. They match up really well.
We'll see.
A lot of defenders that can disrupt that crazy potent Warriors offense, but who knows? It'll be close. I think if you just look at the NBA analysts, It's the first time in years where everyone's like excited from a basketball standpoint because it should be close.
Yeah.
Because typically we know who's going to win.
Yeah. Got it. My content recommendation is I started watching this show on USA years ago. I finally finished the last episode last night.
Which
Queen
one?
of the South.
Okay.
So, typical cartel type show. It's a little less, it's still pretty gruesome, but a little less gruesome than your typical cartel show. It's about this woman that runs the cartel. Great ending, unbelievable ending. I finally got to watch it last night. And I also would recommend, it's quite interesting, is White Hot. It's a documentary about the rise and fall of Abercrombie and Fitch. Really interesting. Just hearing about the founder.
Do you remember
really know.
when we were in high school, they would just have like guys with six packs standing outside?
So that's like the whole premise of like
how is that real life?
I mean, they really, it's an incredible
I remember
documentary.
one of my friends from high school was one of the
Oh, wow.
guys.
So yeah, the CEO, Mike Jeffries, who was running the company, was like this guy that just loved good looking young men. And he casted accordingly. But it's a very fascinating story.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because Abercrombie and Fitch was such a massive influence on our youth in terms
In my
of
high
fashion.
school, kids were stealing from Abercrombie every
It
weekend.
was so expensive too.
They just would rip off the tag and just have holes in their shirts.
Yeah.
That was the move.
That's amazing. All right. Well, that's all we have. Now we're going to go on to some shout outs. Here's an incredible shout out I got from Christian. Salcido. I don't want to butcher your last name, but he messaged and he wanted to give a shout out to Group Chat University. I've actually met Christian, I think at a live show. He goes, "You guys have taught me so much. I just accepted a tech job and left medical devices. The opportunity for people who want to go into the office are there." And he said, propinquity. For reals though, thanks for all the content. Your podcast helped me negotiate 3 promotions at my last job. Went from 96,000 to 180,000 in 3 years. My new job total comp is around 300,000. And honestly, as long as you're willing to show up and do the work, it's an easy life. Tech recruiters are so delighted to hear when people are willing to grind. Honestly, there's a silent minority of us that are using opportunity to bypass the gatekeepers and make some changes. U.S. first-gen immigrants are taking over. Thanks for all the content, gents, and thank you for adding value for our life for 5 years ago. And thank you for adding value into our lives 5 years ago. The thought of moving from the IE to Santa Barbara felt impossible. I mean, they're still kind of impossible, but I'll settle for Goleta.
Great area. Our friends are opening a restaurant in Goleta.
Hot new restaurant on the beach, right?
Yeah.
In Goleta. So go check that out.
Shout out to Omar and Joe. They both listen.
Yeah.
When they actually do the opening, maybe we'll have them on.
Yeah. I'd love to go there too.
Yeah.
But Christian, congratulations. Such a fucking amazing story. 300 grand and you live in Goleta. You can live a nice life.
Great life.
Yeah.
Go to that restaurant. Go to the Rosewood.
Yeah. Bocara's right there.
Yeah.
They're good. But that's that's an incredible way to end the weekend, or incredible way to end the week. And we will see you back on Sunday. Have a wonderful weekend. Go into the office, comb your hair, iron your clothes, shave if you're a man.
Propinquity.
Get in there. Bye-bye.